Based in the USA, Lloyd's List Intelligence is specialized in providing transparent and usable maritime data. They offer detailed information and analysis on ship movements, risk, and compliance, enabling professionals to make informed decisions. In this edition of Decryptage, we are pleased to welcome the Global Head of Compliance at Lloyd's List Intelligence. With him, we examine the company's unique business model and the critical importance of compliance in the shipping industry, among others. Mr. ORSINI, welcome to Africa 24. What is Lloyd's List Intelligence and what is the core of your business model?
First of all, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here in Senegal for the Afrexim conference, and Lloyd's List Intelligence is really proud to be here to help support the region and foster the conversation around culture of compliance. My name is ORSINI. I am the Global Head of Compliance and Regulatory Affairs at Lloyd's List Intelligence, and we are the leaders in maritime data and analytics. We provide deep insights to vessel movements, ownership data, and compliance risks that have helped in global financial institutions, insurance companies, shipping companies, commodities traders to identify, evaluate, and mitigate sanctions risk in the maritime space.
With your experience and accumulation of data in the shipping business, how important is the topic of compliance and conformity?
When you think about global trade, you can't think or talk about it without talking about shipping, because what we know is that 80 to 90% of all global trade has a nexus to the shipping industry, which means that trade finance, transactional, chances are there's going to be an underlying vessel shipment. So when you're thinking about compliance generally, you can't think about it without thinking about the vessel industry, because there's a significant amount of risk. Risk because you don't know who's behind the vessel, where the vessel has been. Is it engaging in deceptive shipping practices? And it's not just the African continent that has to be concerned about this. This is a global problem for compliance. And understanding the shipping industry, it's quite complex. And when you think about a vessel, it's not just about, is a vessel sanctioned? Is it flagged out of a sanctioned country? It's taking it deeper, looking at its ownership, its operators, its managers, its behavior, and where has it been? So it's not just an African, it's not just a problem for the African continent, it's a global problem. And when you think about compliance and financial crime compliance, it's a global issue that takes everybody.
How does identifying the end beneficiary apply to your field, and how does it help create a safer environment for business?
So ultimate beneficial ownership information is a key thing to understand when you're thinking about sanctions compliance, especially from a US, UK, and EU perspective, because just because an entity or an individual or an entity on its face is not sanctioned does not mean that there's not sanctions risk that would apply. So understanding ultimate beneficial ownership is crucial to that analysis, because with US sanctions, EU and UK sanctions, there's something called the 50% rule or ownership and control rule. So the only way to understand and fully assess your sanctions risk in the maritime space or otherwise is to fully understand ultimate beneficial ownership and have transparency in the ownership structure, because pursuant to the 50% rule, if there is sanction ownership in the aggregate that reaches 50% or more, that entity is now sanctioned by operation of law, which triggers certain requirements under the sanctions regimes. Taking that further, institutions have internal policy restrictions on doing business with SDNs. So in my previous life, we had internal policy thresholds of 25% SDN ownership or 10%, which was more restrictive. So understanding ultimate beneficial ownership, not just in the maritime space, but just in the entire ecosystem of financial crime compliance, is material to knowing your customer and conducting that full sanctions assessment. With respect to the maritime space, the advanced analytics, where that really comes in, is looking at vessel behavior. So can the vessel go from point A to point B? If the vessel turns off its AIS, its automatic identification system, its GPS system, and then it comes back online a couple of days later, could it have went to a port in Iran or a different sanctioned country? Could it have engaged in a ship-to-ship transfer with another vessel during the time frame it was dark? So the advanced analytics that we overlay is really to help the end user make an informed decision based on what could have happened during a period of darkness. taking that further, bad actors have gotten more sophisticated, especially over the past few years. And it went from turning off the AIS on the vessel to now AIS spoofing. And AIS spoofing is quite nefarious because the vessel will tell you it's in one place, but it'll actually be somewhere else. And it's very difficult to detect without advanced analytics, how we operationalize spoofing. Being able to look at the data, the metadata from the AIS and other things to be able to, again, provide that information to the end user so that they can make an informed decision based on what is actually going on.
With the implementation of new technologies, how can AI become an efficient tool to face financing of illegal activities?
AI is going to be crucial to the continue fighting financial crime because what we see, or in my past life, we see a lot of manual work, a lot of alert review, and where AI is going to come in is going to create operational efficiencies in our business, whether that's at the operational level or at the compliance level. And not that AI can just run unchecked, right? There's always going to have to be a human element, a human touch point that is assessing risk. But AI is going to be crucial for the future because as bad actors continue to get more sophisticated, we're going to need to continue to model using that human intelligence to be able to identify bad actors, not just in the shipping space, but also in the KYC space, the anti-money laundering space, to really be able to build a holistic profile of bad actors. AI is going to be crucial to that fight.
Mr. Eric Orsini, thank you for answering our questions. Dear viewers, thank you all for following us. Find the full program on My Africa 24 and Africa24TV.com.